Hi everyone, this is Andrea from the Art and Nature Center, and today I'm going to show you how to make nature reliefs in homemade air dry clay. So the first thing we're going to do is make our super simple 3-ingredient clay air dry dough. So what I have here is 3/4 cups of warm water, and then I'm going to pour a 1/2 cup of salt into that warm water and mix it in really well. We're gonna let the water come to room temperature before we add the 2 cups of flour. Now that we've let our salt water sit and come to more of a room temperature, we're gonna slowly add 2 cups of flour. And this is a simple enough recipe where you can double it if you want a lot more, or cut it in half if you don't want quite as much. And I think it's at a point where I'm going to start using my hands, just kind of pulling from underneath and bringing over the top in a nice kneading motion. It comes out to be a very soft clay, kind of more like Play-Doh. If your dough is still a little bit too sticky, add a little bit more flour. And if it's flaky and too dry, add a little more water. And there's our dough for the Nature Relief project. So first, with this clay, I like to put a little flour on my hands because sometimes when you're handling it, it gets a little sticky. Then you want to grab a good chunk and start rolling it in between the palms of your hands to make a nice round ball oval shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Once you've got it in a good round shape, we want to flatten it into more of a coin shape. And you can even shape that a little more with your fingers. I think that's good. So I have a floured piece of tin foil, and I'm going to show you how to do the 2 pressings that I already have here drying. For this one, I used some sticks that I collected, and I kind of layered them one at a time. So it's very simple. You just place it where you want it and press. Sometimes you have to roll it in there depending on how it's shaped. And I'm going to start another one, rolling it out. And what I do on whatever floured surface I leave it to dry is I usually put it on a windowsill for about a day and it gets nice and hard. Flatten that guy out. In this corner. And now for this one, I used this bunch of leaves, and I'm only going to do 1 pressing with this rather than layering it. So I just pick a good spot and press it in there with my fingers. And now we can leave this set to dry. Alright, now that we have some dry reliefs, I'm going to show you how I like to paint them to really emphasize the form and shape of the nature that I pressed in there. So I'm going to take 1 color of paint, and you can use any kind of paint you have on hand. I'm using acrylic, and I'm just using some black right now. And I'm going to paint over the whole surface, mostly emphasizing getting into the grooves of whatever I have painted. Alright, once I've done that, I'm going to first take a dry paper towel and rub over the surface. It's going to get off the excess wet paint and help sink into the grooves. Now what I want to do with a little bit of water is dampen my paper towel and wipe over that surface again. You can always go back in with more paint also. Got a bunch of different examples. I used some color in this one. So for this project, I really encourage you to explore the forms of the nature around you and see what you can create.